What is up, SharkNation? Welcome to another episode of the SharkPod with me, your host, Luke Curry, out in Greystone Studios, aka my box room, Mark Baker, and my co-host, Marky B in Glenageary. How are you getting on, Mark?
Yeah, stuck in the box room all day. I got out to the gym for an hour, but apart from that, yeah, nothing strange. Same old.
Same old, same old. We're edging closer to going back to maybe the office sometime. We were just having a chat with our guest, Gary Grimes. How are you getting on, Gary?
Good, lads. Pleasure to be on the podcast, which is I'm a fan. Listened to over the last few weeks, a good few of them. So delighted to be here. I am in an office, not my office, which we were briefly talking about before. But yeah, good. How are you guys?
We're great. Like, this is I feel like there's a bit of a turning point here because I'm looking at some of these stats for vaccinations, Mark, and I'm thinking, 91% got the first jab. I mean, that's pretty good. That's a passing grade in my opinion. So I think we might be hopefully getting back to kind of somewhat normal soon. We're talking about setting up a shark. We're talking about setting up a SharkPod meetup, Shark Meet, sometime at the end of the year. Gary said he was all over that as well, so that's great news. But maybe we might jump into introduce yourself, Gary. The company Simplí Finance. I liked it because Shimply in Irish means simple, and simply works quite well in English as well. So
it has a double, yeah.
Once I saw the photo, I'm like, get that man on here. Let's have a chat.
Delighted. Yeah, no, look, Gary Grimes, my name. I'm originally from Dublin 12 and Simplí Business Finance. I launched the company in January 2020, originally called GDG Business Finance, with GDG being my initials as Gary David Grimes. I was a one-man band, and gradually over the course of the last 14 months, it's kind of grown a bit of some arms and legs. No longer became just about me. And also some people were having problems saying the word GDG. They thought either I was calling them to deliver a package sometimes, only to explain this is not DPD, it's GDG Finance. So a couple of my advisors around me were saying it's a little bit difficult to say. My own mother couldn't say it. So we started to I'd said I was going to rebrand the company at some stage. Didn't know what it was going to be, and we'll talk a bit more about how Simplí came along. What we do, we help Irish companies get business loans and asset finance. That's the 10-second pitch. The more deeper version of that is we are a business finance intermediary. I hate the word broker. It is what I am, but I always see brokers as processors, but we're so much more than that. We predominantly work with the non-bank finance space in Ireland. Don't do a lot of dealings with banks. We have our reasons for them. We work a lot with alternative finance providers or non-bank finance providers. We have reasons for that as well. Just the range of products that we can access for our clients allows us to build kind of tailored funding solutions depending on what the client needs, as opposed to what a lender will say their product is best for anything, doesn't matter what you need it for. So yeah, that's what we do. Fairly new business ourselves. We launched in January 2020, as I mentioned. We've had a bit of a roller coaster periods up until now, given that after 6 weeks of business, 95% of our clients closed the doors, which was great fun. But yeah, it's been a great journey so far.
Class. And just so, like, me and Mark were just talking about the podcast today, and we were saying, like, I don't really know how the business of intermediary works. If I'm a customer, so would it be in the kind of SME space that we're looking for funds for like a specific reason? Say they wanted to expand like their retail thing, or add another unit to their fleet of trucks or something. What's the typical customer profile for you guys?
But exactly what you've said there, nail on the head with both of them and more as well. So typically we work with SMEs, generally anyone trading for 2 years or more, depending on the demographic of the business. We typically work with businesses that are, minimum turnover 150,000 up to the largest turnover business we've worked with is 27 million per year. We access, they generally, what they'll do is they will come to us and they'll say, we are this business, we need finance for this reason, and we need your help accessing the same. They can do it themselves, it's just a little bit more time consuming. And what we do is we generally build out, first of all, a financial profile for the business is the first thing we do. So we understand everything about that business, both internally from the bank statements, from the financial accounts, we look at the balance sheet. We also then look at external information on that business through different credit reference agencies. And we put it all into just one nice little, Simplí Business Finance profile. And with that, we then, once we understand what the business wants and what they want to use the finance for, we can tailor a proposition to a specific lender for that specific product. So if it's a truck, we can go to an asset finance provider, build a proposition specifically for their credit model and their credit team. They love that, with an application with a full document pack already kind of pre-screened by our own team. And it makes their life easy. And then we can have a working capital finance need for a retail business. They might be bringing in new staff members, or they might want a retail business or a classic stock loan facility. And they might be looking for a stock loan facility because obviously coronavirus and the COVID has eliminated a lot of payment terms for people bringing, stock in from China and stuff. So now sometimes they have to pay for that up front. So stock loan facilities, we're able to look at the business, how they take in money, debit and credit card, cash, how they do it, and then build a financial solution that's best suited for them. So we work with all types of businesses, all sectors, which gives us a very good, we've a good bit of experience working with retail, hospitality, agri, transport, e-commerce, the whole lot. So, and we're always looking to work with businesses in new sectors to build our own knowledge bank as well. So we have a nice spread of who we can help. Yeah,
it's an interesting thing as well, because it's something that finance, our cash flow, it's the lifeblood of any business, but it's something that I never really even think about, that there's alternatives to banks, or like raising finance, kind of Dragon's Den style, pitching to people for
it's tough.
So I can see why there's definitely a space for that. And also it sounds like there's a lot of paperwork involved, and if you're running an e-commerce business day to day, I don't know if that's when you want to spend your time doing. Is that kind of the
pulling together, like all lenders, each and every lender that we deal with, they all have a specific set of documents that they need to do their job. Their credit team has, and it changes between all the lenders. So if you're one individual business and you might need more than one different type of product, you could be dealing with two sets of credit teams who are looking for different sets of information. And that can, I'm a busy business owner, you guys are those entrepreneurs, we're busy, and you're trying to lock someone down. Listen, I need you to get me 12 months bank statements, or I need you to sit down and get your financial accounts from your accountant. That takes time, and it takes time away from actually doing your job on a daily basis. So a lot of what we do is we take that off their shoulders. We look that's part of the financial profile building. And a lot of it as well is intimidating. Finance can be intimidating. I'm in the business since I was 19. I've been dealing with SMEs more predominantly for the last 10 years. And it doesn't matter how long you've been running the business for. If it's not something if you're accessing finance, it might be only something you do, once every year, if not once every 3 years. You might never have to do it at all. So it can be intimidating for a business owner to approach these lenders, because they're not used to doing it. Where somebody like ourselves, we take all that off and we put them at ease, let us liaise with the lenders for you. We'll make sure we remove all the jargon. We'll make sure that they know that they're dealing with somebody who, they can't missell the product to, because if they do, we'll catch it straight away. And we just kind of simplify the whole process. That's where the name of the business comes from, which is Simplí Business Finance. We are trying to keep it super simple. That's what we do for clients.
Absolutely. It's such an interesting kind of area to be in as well. It's hard to, from the outside, how does the business work? Is there is it a commission basis? Is it a fee basis? Like a consulting day cost? Or how does that work?
Yeah, we've a couple of different revenue models. We work off, we collect revenue from both sides. So first of all, the clients that engage us, we'll have an engagement fee. which kind of covers the cost of building the financial profile and the work and the hours that's involved. That's very small. And then we'll have a success fee based on the type of product the client is looking to access, whether it's term loans or asset finance. And then the lenders on the other side, we'll have a pre-agreed commissions that we'll have with those guys. So it brings us 3 different areas of revenue we bring into the business, and that's how we do it. It can fluctuate with depending on the loan sizes, the types of business, what they're looking for, and that's where we're a little bit fluid. The model is very simple, but we can change it depending on the need for finance. And the business finance side of it is that's one element of revenue that we bring in. Another element where we generate revenue from is that we look at, if you've got a retail or hospitality business that uses debit and credit card turnover, what we can do is we have a partner who we bring in to do a bit of a deep analysis of the costs of them using a certain merchant acquirer, and we can then allow our partner to search the market for a cheaper, not a cheaper, but even a better service at a better cost for that particular business owner. And we generate kind of revenue off that side of the business as well. So our model is it's a good sound model. It brings us a nice bit of revenue, and it's consistent, and we can turn her over a good few times a month.
That's class. I love the idea of having different kind of revenue streams around the same business, as well as kind of a little flexibility as well. COVID accelerated that really, because what we were doing, I have a bit of a background in fintech. My first job with a fintech was with a company called Grid Finance. Grid Finance launched back in 2015. I joined those guys as a third member of staff. Left, took a big gamble. Left a good, well-paid job with Citibank and Securities. Took a job with a non-bank finance fintech, which had 2 staff members at the time, and never looked back after that. And they dealt a lot.
Why did you take that leap?
I tell you, I myself, I always worked in organizations, but something about me, I always wanted to be my own boss. I always wanted to be in control of my own future. And I just didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew it was going to be, in finance. So what happened was I was working with Citibank. I seen a tweet of all things. This business called Grid Finance, we're looking to bring in, they just sent out a tweet about what they were doing, and they weren't actually advertising for staff at the time. And what I did was I looked at what they'd done, and the product that they had at the time was peer-to-peer lending. So, which is interesting because I heard you guys' conversation last week about return on investment. So I'll chat to you about that as well. So peer-to-peer lending essentially is a business is looking for a loan or finance, and you'll get a bunch of individuals who all pool their money together and then make up the loan amount that business needs. And then that particular business makes a single repayment back to a company. That repayment is paid with capital and interest, and then goes back to the lenders who've lent it to them. So I seen the model and I thought to myself, it's cool. That's like really, really cool. It's kind of like a modern day credit union where, everyone has the money together. Kind of decentralized lending where it's away from, it is what the banks do really on a bigger scale, but it's a smaller scale, and it was really cool. And I seen it and I said, I looked at the market in the US, and the market in the US was massive. And I looked at the market in the UK and it was growing rapidly. And I looked at the market in Ireland, and Grid were the second lender to do it. And it was really untouched. So I'd said, I contacted them and I said, I've worked in organizations building teams, building processes, building sales funnels. And I'd said, I'm available, I'd love to work for you. And they said they were looking for staff, and got involved with Andrea Linehan and Derek Butler, who were involved in the business. And from there, took a job with them. And that was my first real kind of experience in a startup, and that was when I kind of that's where I knew where I wanted to work was. And as that developed over the years, 5 years with that company, we went from 3 staff up to 23 staff at the peak, 2 different countries, 3 different offices. I went from being a business experience manager, which was originating sales, to the senior operations manager, to the last job I had with the guys, which was the fund manager. And I know his good self works for HubSpot. We use HubSpot in that business, and I still use HubSpot in my business now today as well. And it was a technology business. We looked at, how can we make the journey of accessing finance easier for businesses, and how can you make it not just easier but more enjoyable? And that's what Grid Finance were doing. And I was with them for 5 years, and then my own circumstances changed in that my girlfriend was pregnant. We were having a baby in March 2020. He was born on March the 15th, 2020, which we all remember in Irish history. It was the days the Irish pubs were closed for the first lockdown. So we have 2 reasons to celebrate that in the future. But I was traveling in and out of Grid Finance for spending about between 14 and 16 hours a week and losing that time. And I'd watched the non-bank finance bank in Ireland develop because I was working in it. And I was at that point, I decided, look, now is the time for me to take the bull by the horns, develop my own business, develop my own kind of organization, which will make me self-sufficient, but also give me 14 or 16 hours time back a week that I can spend with my family. That was a big driver behind it. And then just loved working with Irish businesses. So it was a combination of a couple of things. At the timing was right. Now, my girlfriend was 7 months pregnant, and it was Christmas when I decided to do it. So she'll tell you the timing wasn't right, but it was. And took the plunge, and that's where that was going to win me from when I walked back in Citibank, and I knew something was there. And the 5 years experience with Grid Finance from a startup, got to see everything from a bootstrap business to a fundraise, and everything that's involved in that, and then getting to work with like big, government organizations like the SBCI, getting to see what their processes of looking at what they wanted to see in lenders to then forward their money, and I just took it all into my own business. So and the best decision I've ever made, in my opinion, best decision I've ever made.
Sorry to cut you off. When it comes to like learning, what you've really learned and what's been so beneficial to you, how do they compare those 2 companies? For example, your time in Grid Finance and your time in Citi, are they comparable, or is it purely chalk and cheese?
Just chalk and cheese. Chalk and cheese, even though they're both in the finance world, chalk and cheese, because I also worked for HSBC in the UK. Worked with them for 7 years. I worked originally in mortgages with those guys, and I left HSBC to come back to Ireland and took the job at Citibank. So what I found was when you're in an organization, like one of those big organizations, there's so many sideways moves that you can make. You might be somebody that has an idea about how you can change an implementation process, change a process to make it more efficient. But it's like throwing sand into the water with big organizations. There's so much red tape. It's just so cumbersome to actually get a change that it has to go up so many ladders, and then it might come back down. It takes a lot of time. I started working at Grid Finance, and we were literally changing decisions on a daily basis. We were a small team. What's not working? We'd have a meeting on a Friday. What's not working? This is not working. This is not working. Right, let's change it. And it was implemented on Monday, and it was brilliant, and I loved it. And then even with new products, like, we brought in, we originally done term lending, which is just, you're very vanilla. You take a loan, you repay it once a month for a set period of time. And that was going well, but we wanted to kind of diversify the products that the company had. So we looked at this product, which was called Emergent Cash Advance Loan. Very popular in the UK, very popular in Ireland, absolutely untouched, very popular, very completely untouched in Ireland. Nobody was doing it apart from this one company, which was a UK based company, but couldn't get the Irish market. The Irish market is just bizarre when it comes to finance, particularly in the non-bank space. So they weren't putting a lot into it. So we were able to look at that product on a Monday, do our research for 2 weeks, and then decide to launch it. Put the time in, and then 2-3 months worth of knowledge, breaking new ground, we were able to launch that product, and then literally make changes on a weekly basis as we went. And that was chalk and cheese, where the experience of working in a big corporate compared to working in a startup finance company, which is so high, it's just constantly reaffirming, okay, what did we do this week? What did we do great? What was shit? take it out. Sorry for the language. Take it out, replace it, improve it, and that's it was it was a 5-year experience that you wouldn't get in college for myself, and that's where I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Never woke up in the morning saying, "God, I don't want to go to work today." Every day was a new day. And
but it's funny, that's very specific to your personality though. And I would have been the same in the large organizations I worked. I just felt like I didn't fit in almost, you know. And then when I worked in the smaller one,
absolutely,
like, this makes sense. What the hell was I doing in the other one? But nobody
people
really
listened to me. Somebody's listening to me. This is amazing, you know.
I think it's really important to assess your personality type when you are younger and starting off in your career, because you can get it right then from the fucking start, you know. And how good would that be, you know?
I'm 36 years old right now, and if I had done this when I came back from the UK and joined Citibank, I was 26. If I'd have done this 10 years ago, like I don't know where I'd be right now. You know, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably have a bigger organization. But as you said, it's about finding. If you know who you are, it's very hard. A lot of people do it. They know who they are, but they just conform to the 9 to 5, and that's what they like, and that's fine. That's what most people will do. But I just knew myself inside, like, that's not me. I will work my 9 to 5. In reality, it'll be a 6 to 6 when I have my own business. But you know, I want to be able to bring people in, and I want people to listen to my valued opinion. And when people validate your opinion and people take your opinion and it works, the buzz you get off that is just incredible. It's cool. It makes you feel good. It's working. And then, so what I did with Grid, you know, we did a lot of learning. I left the guys on fantastic terms. Derek and Grid would have been a good mentor of mine for the 5 years I was there. And they are one of the lenders I now use in Simplí, and I do business with them almost on a daily basis. And it's brilliant to see something that I was involved in building from scratch almost from scratch, to an automated credit model, to an automated settlement model with their product, which is their platform, to now I'm using it as a customer and a client, and it's cool. It's really good. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's that big thing. Don't leave crumbs, you know, anywhere you go. Always make sure it's, you know, everything is left on good terms.
That's it. And I knew what I was going into. I knew what I was developing here in what was GDG, which is now Simplí. And, you know, I want to develop an organization that, you know, we want to help Irish businesses. And, you know, we build a business model that we make money from doing that. And that's fantastic. And what we want to be able to do is, you know, we want to be able to bridge a gap between the non-bank finance space and Irish SMEs looking for finance, because, you know, it's not talked about enough in this country. Our government representatives, they don't talk about it because they don't understand it. And then if somebody starts talking about it and then they say, oh, it's an unregulated space, they just don't want to know about it. So all they want to stick to is, we've got pillar banks in this country. Let's just pretend that they're the best at what they do. And that's where we'll give all the attention to. And it's a shame, because if you go back, if you look at the UK, Ireland is just a classic. We always look at the UK. What did they do, and how did they make it work? And if you go back if you go back 8-9 years in the UK, there was a split there between, you know, bank and non-bank. Where were SMEs going to get their money? Where were SMEs going to get finance? And the split was heavily in favor of the banks. But you go there today, it's probably 70-30 in favor of the non-bank finance space. And it's not because you know, or people just seen it as the only place to go. It's because the UK government kind of engaged that sector and recognized that, listen, we've got platforms here that can get money into businesses in 2 days. That's what business owners need. If someone in Galway rings me and says, Gary, we've got a shipping container down on the docks there, it's 100 grand's worth of stock in it, we want to buy it. You go to the bank, you might be waiting 4 to 6 weeks to get that in Ireland. You go to a non-bank finance provider, you could make that work within 5 business days. That could change that business completely. The UK government seen that a long time ago, and they introduced some stuff like, you guys were talking about investments last week. You know, the UK government introduced the innovation noises, which were an individual savings account where they've encouraged the general public to lend money through kind of technology platforms, and they would give them tax incentives to do that up to £16,000. And overnight, like that changed kind of platforms like Funding Circle and Lending Club and Zopa. And all of a sudden, you know, you've seen regulation coming in, you've seen universities put money into these platforms to lend to businesses. We're just not there yet with Ireland with that. You know, we're still developing that. And I just think that if we talked about the non-bank finance space more, the split I talked about, the 70-30 in the UK now, it's about 85-15 in favour of banks in this country. And if you look at this, you know, banks are a necessary evil, in my opinion. We're gonna need them for the rest of our lives. But if you look at the, you know, ISME does a fantastic bank watch report, and if you looked at the numbers that are coming out now, you know, the vast majority of businesses that are talking and doing this survey are saying that the banks are making it more difficult to access finance. And that's going to happen for a long time, where these non-bank finance providers, there's a huge gap for them to walk into. It was also part of the reason I left GDG, or left Grid when I did, was I seen the opportunity to take it. And I think we're looking at, over the next few years, we're looking at a shift. The SBCI are putting money into companies like Linked Finance, Capital Flow, and others, and Close Brothers now, and that's bringing more attention to the space. Those lenders are proving themselves to be worthy of the recognition that the SBCI has given them, and that's going to cause a wave of businesses to bring them over as well. So it's exciting. Like, for me, it's exciting. I've been working in the space for a long time, so I'm excited to see how it goes.
It's so exciting, and also I feel like the UK are always like miles ahead of us. That's why I like, I know people don't like to hear this, but I think that they're going to be Switzerland. I don't think the Brexit thing is going to slow them down. I think it's going to pour petrol on the innovation over there. I think that they like I've never really worked too much in the UK until recently, but now I'm working in the UK region more with HubSpot, and I'm coming across all of these really innovative kind of next generation banks. And you know, last year they had 10 people working for them. Now it's like 1,000 people, and like it's exploding, you know. And it's just
everything. The funny thing about the UK, I lived in Scotland for 7 years altogether, and while they're only a couple of 100 miles away, the quality of living and how things is done is just completely different. Like I was explaining, whether it's personal finance, you know, whether it's getting a mobile phone finance, getting car finance, getting just everything is just a lot easier. Even looking at your individual credit score, you can download an app in the UK and do a credit score on yourself. Like, it's so easy to access. But in Ireland, there is no single platform, or there's no central database where you, me, or Mark can go on and just credit score yourselves. You have the Irish Credit Bureau report, and you've got this customer credit register, but they're just dated platforms. And I was explaining to my girlfriend the other day, we're looking at buying a new car at the moment, and we went up to a dealership, Capital Motors up in Belgard, and we're looking at a Qashqai Plus 2 because we have the new Baba, and it's just a big car and it's a nice car. And we were talking about financing the car, and the guy was like, yeah, you know, it's a relatively old car. You'd only get 1 year finance on it. So my girlfriend, obviously, she's never had to borrow in her life, lucky her. And I was explaining to her, you know, I remember an experience where I walked into an Audi dealership in East Kilbride in Scotland, and within an hour I'd walked out with a brand new Audi A4. I didn't intend on doing that, but the salesman had said to me, I could get you approved for that in 20 minutes with a £1 deposit. And I thought it was a joke. And I wanted a new car. And within 20 minutes, he had me approved. And he was like, it's there for you, and drove it away the next day. And that's just, Ireland is just nowhere near that yet. And we're getting there. Like, that's okay. Look, we're developing, but, you know, we are seeing new companies coming into Ireland now, buy now, pay later, which is the start of it, I think. So that's going to be an interesting type of space now over the next couple of years as well.
And sometimes people think that we're, like on the podcast, if we're critical of Ireland and some of the things about how business is done here. No, sometimes it's just where we're just kind of exposing opportunities. Do you know, there's a big gap that is to be filled there. Do you like it, right? So
the Flexify coming into Ireland, that was a funny one. Like you're saying, opportunities. I was in my mom lives on Captain's Road in Crumlin, and I went into DID Electrical on Sundrive Road. She said she needed a new washer and a washing machine and a dryer. And I went in and I said, look, I'll take these two. And the guy was like, would you like to get it on Flexify? And I was like, what's flexi for you? And he went, well, you can buy them now and pay for them over the course of a year. And I was looking at paying, the equivalent of 800 quid out of my bank. Or I said, I'll give it a try. I'll work in finance. I'm not afraid of it. I'll give it a try. And within a few minutes, you were approved. The washing machine, the dryer were delivered the next day, and you pay for over the course of a year. And as you said, an opportunity, I wouldn't have known that existed until that guy told me about it. And we didn't know it existed because it's not talked about in Ireland. So yeah, definitely not critical, just exposing opportunities. That's really good. I like that. Yeah.
Because I lived in Canada for a couple of years as well in my 20s. Just like I was working on a startup over there, and in Vancouver, and the credit score there it's like a religion. It's like everyone is obsessed with the credit score, and if you've got a good credit score, you have to basically write your own checks. You can do whatever you want from the business. If you have a business loan, and you personally back it and you've got good credit, you'll get a loan really quickly.
Absolutely.
I think they see and I don't let me know if I'm wrong about the Irish finance industry, because I don't know that much about it. But in Canada, it seemed like money was like a product. It was just like we're selling it, people are getting commissions on it, they're trying to get it out to the market. And Irish people don't really see it like that. So that when they go in for a loan, it's like almost like, I better, put on a good tie. It's like they're in the money business.
Absolutely.
That's how they stay open, as we lend their money. True.
Absolutely. I work in finance, and what I try and educate my clients on is not thinking of it as finance, but just thinking of it as another tool for your business. I use HubSpot to manage my sales pipelines and my deal pipelines, and that's a tool. Now, I use the free version. I don't pay for it yet. I'm not that big yet. So, but I have a mobile phone, I have a desk phone, I've got the computer. You pay for all these things. They're all tools to do business. And I talk to people about finances, just see it as the same thing. So we get a retail business will come to me and they'll say, we're looking for a stock loan. And I'd say to them, don't think of it as finance, think of it as a tool to get what you want, to get to where you want. And that's it. So don't look Irish people are classic at saying, what's the APR? I've had clients who I would buzz with, and I'd say, if you can tell me how an APR is calculated, I'll tell you what the APR is. And they go, I don't even know what APR stands for. I just know that's a question Irish people ask, and you're like, that's cool, that's absolutely fine. But I'd always bring them back and say, think of finance, don't fear it, use it as a tool. And I use it individually as a tool, and I use it for my business as a tool. You're a retail business and you're looking for finance. You borrow 10 grand. You have to pay back that 10 grand plus the interest, which could be 200 quid, 300 quid, whatever. That's the cost of the tool. But what are you using it for? Is to buy 10 grand's worth of stock, which you're then going to sell for 40. So think about it like that. And then it's amazing when people start seeing it like that, then they'll start using it more frequently. It is a problem with Irish businesses where they're incredibly undercapitalized in this country because there's a fear of it. And that's a fear of applying. I had a problem 7 years ago. I won't apply because I'll get the client. It's okay to get the client. That's absolutely no problem. Like I'd say to my clients all the time, look, the first time we work together, we might not get the result that we want. We might get the client. That's fine. Because they'll tell us why they declined it. Then we can take it away. We work on it. Then we'll go back and we'll get it the next time. And clients like that. Sometimes they know. And as part of our building the financial profile for businesses, I'm doing my second exam in my credit for my credit exams next month, which will have me as a qualified credit analyst. Plus, so I know what these teams are looking for. I know what they look out for. So that allows me to identify that really quickly and say, right, listen, see these 4 unpaid in the last month? This is going to be a problem. You're in a negative position on your balance sheet. That's going to be a problem. But we can address those things. So getting people more comfortable about using finance as a tool for your business instead of fearing it. I'd see that the whole country would see the benefit of it. We'd see businesses growing fast and we'd see more products available. If you look at the bigger guys, the kind of medium to big, large companies in this country, you look at their balance sheets, you will see an amount of debt on their balance sheets that they use to capitalize the business. COVID is a big thing now where, people they've dipped into their reserves big time just to keep businesses running. And now they want to make business decisions. And that's where they would have previously dipped into the reserves to pay for that. Now we're introducing a model where, listen, don't use your own money, use somebody else's money. You'll pay for it, but you'll protect yourself as well in a way that if something does happen, you still have your own pot of money to use as well. So there's a lot of learning. You guys touched on it last week, when you were talking about the education and skills as a young person. If this stuff is taught in schools when you're 15, 16, you look at my nieces right now who are all starting eyelash businesses and nail businesses. They don't understand the business side of it, but if they did, where they would be at my age if they started at their age, they'd blow me out of water. They'd blow us out of water. They'd be 20 years on it by the time they got to their age, and it's not talked about enough. There's not enough. There's not enough curriculum in schools to talk about that side, like how to do your taxes, how to run a business, how to start a company. So yeah, there's lots, as you said, not exposed, not being critical of it, but exposing opportunities.
Do you think that's by design? The more I think about it, the more I think it's by design.
You're dropping into conspiracy here, Mark. It's not like the SharkPod.
Look, the whole system, and we always use the word the system. It's designed to keep the majority on a 9 to 5. That's my opinion. It is, and that's fine because the majority on a 9 to 5, they pay their taxes. They won't disrupt. They won't innovate, and that's fine. But there's a cohort there that it's inside you, and listen, I am going to disrupt. I am going to innovate. I like what you're doing, but I could do it better.
Surely it's entrepreneurs that create the growth, as opposed to just relying on foreign investment all the time.
That's it. And it's not talked about. They talk about a lot of FDI, foreign direct investment in this country, and we see our government talking with the big. I say big. They are big. The big corporates, and that's all fine. But 98% of businesses in this country are SMEs, and if there was an element of a redirect of resources to build SMEs from the ground up, like I was talking to someone about this the other day. It's funny, I'm a big football man, I'm football family, and I was saying to someone, if the Irish government took the approach that the Belgian football team took 15 years ago, by going into the grassroots and developing a system from the under 12s up to the senior level. They went from being, I don't know where they were in the world, to being nearly number one, or were number one at one point. If we reinvest in SMEs in this country, 98% of them are going to make up the demographic. 97% of people that are in jobs work for these SMEs. Educate them better, give them better support from the start. There is no startup finance apart from microfinance, or give them better support as new companies, and we will all reap the benefit. That's just the reality of it. But it just doesn't happen. And it's been talked about a lot for so long, but it just doesn't happen.
There was a huge focus on tech startups all the time, but it's not all about tech startups as well. Interested to know what percentages would your clients be in different areas? Like, is there any majority in a certain industry, or?
Yeah, majority hospitality, funnily enough. That was always that's the two strongest sectors that my personal experience is retail and hospitality. So you can imagine when I returned to work just at the end of March, when they were all closed, that was fun. But the vast majority of deals that we done last year were actually in hospitality, funnily enough. So, but it allowed us we do a lot of hospitality financing, a lot of retail financing. Construction at the moment is another one that's booming for us, and it's good to see these sectors, particularly the hospitality. They've been, look, I have a lot of very close friends and a very, very close through doing business with them over the course of the last 5-7 years that own hospitality businesses and organizations, and they're just decimated by it. Like, you can see them. I can see when I'm talking to them, and it's almost a shock when I say to them, listen, what do you need? If you could do a 30 grand working capital, I'll get that for you. There's no way you can. I'll get it for you. And you get it for them, and they're like, Jesus, like, this is huge. We've helped hospitality businesses. One of our clients, he won't mind me talking about him. He loves exposure. Barry Drum in Look Man No Hands. He works in the north side. We helped them raise finance a couple of times through the COVID pandemic, and they now have 4. They had one when we met them, they now have 4 branches within a year. They've 3 active, 1 coming in Ashbourne. They've 1 in Swords, 1 in Balbriggan, 2 in Swords, 1 in Balbriggan, and they're open in Ashbourne. And that's what's possible. And this is where these alternative finance lenders come in. The banks, they're not really engaging with hospitality businesses to finance them, because it has been the sector that has been most hard hit by it all. But there's just so much more options out there for them. Yeah.
And I
wonder, is it a prime opportunity? Sorry, Luca.
I was just going to say, like, this type of business, is it going to, in your vision, is it an Irish only kind of like a boutique business? Is that what you're trying to build, or is this something that can have 100 people in seat? Like, is there enough of an appetite for this in Ireland over the next few years?
So really, for me, what I'm doing first of all is I'm building the model and testing it in the Irish market. And when it's working in the Irish market, with a couple of, people say to me, what means success to you? With a couple of milestones that I have hit and continue to hit until I know that the model is a super simple model that can be a plug and play job in any country I want to go into. So the UK market is definitely one. The finance intermediary market in the UK is so far developed, it's unbelievable compared to Ireland. And my plan is develop the model in Ireland and then be able to move it to the UK and then move it to Portugal, Spain, basically any country that has finance where alternative finance providers are operating, and develop that model where it can be a plug and play model. So like that's the goal for me. Keep it very simple starting off for the first few years, develop the model, make sure it works, bring tech in where I need it, bring open banking in where we need it, to make that journey for business owners more seamless and less hassle. And then once we've nailed it, we can then replicate it to other countries. And so bums on seats. I started the business just as me. There's 5 of us in it now. It's a bit of a family business. I have my mother actually is my office manager. She keeps us all in check. My partner does some accounting work for us and also does some system works. I've got Phil, who's my head of property consultant, and then I've got my accounts person. So we also have if we need businesses that are not happy with their existing accountants, I have an accounts person that will either help me dissect their financial accounts or else bring them business. So it's a growing business. I'd like for my business to have experts in the different fields that we operate in as bums on seats, good marketing person, and then organically build it from there and then move it into other countries as well. Yeah.
It's great that it can be applied elsewhere as well. We had another kind of an entrepreneur that's really in his early days. Cathal Noon is also my other brother-in-law who was on a little while ago. He's developing a tax kind of a software that can be applied in anywhere where they do research tax credits, which is a lot of places. Right. So it's it's starting in Dublin, but it could go kind of anywhere, which is great as well. Usually we like to do a lightning round here, Mark, but we're running out of time. So why don't you pick two burning questions for Gary that you've got on your mind there, and
awesome.
we'll let Gary go back to his evening here.
Okay. Is it who you know or is it what you know?
That's a good question. I think most of the times it's who you know. With a small splash of what you know, with who you know. So who you know most of the time, yeah.
Nice.
If you could advise somebody to learn one skill, what would it be?
Time management.
Interesting. First time we've heard that one.
I'll tell you, time management for me, because if you asked me this question 6 years ago, I was a manager of a mortgages department in the UK, and it was scattered, like it was just crazy. You're managing 40 people. But when I started working with grid finance and understanding prioritizing key tasks and put the time aside to do them, you just become so much more efficient. and valuing your own time as well is a big thing I've learned with COVID and my own business. But yeah, the time management, nail time management, you'll be surprised. You guys were talking about Tony Robbins, for example, there recently as well. So I know running out of time, so I'll make it quick. But when I first started the business, I put so much time into it. And my girlfriend was like, when are you coming home? It's 9:30 at night, you're still in the office. And it was caused, like, I'll be open with you guys, it caused problems in the relationship. And we were like, Jesus, I need to put time into this. She wants time off me. And I watched a clip of Tony Robbins where a guy stood up in an audience and asked that question. And Tony Robbins basically said, you need to understand your quality time and your quantity time. So when you understand the quality and quantity time, life just becomes a lot more easier. So that resonated with me with the time management. So a lot of what I do is I break my day up into, I start work at 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock at home. Rian, my son, gets up generally. He has an iPad in his name as well, Luke, so you like that. Yeah. He wakes up at around 8 o'clock, get him ready, get him fed. 9 o'clock I go to work. And I do everything I need to do up until 5:30 in the evening, and then I go home at 5:30. And this is an exception, obviously, with you guys, but I go home at 5:30, and then I do nothing at home until I start work again at 6 o'clock in the morning. And that's given me an incredible work-life balance. It's given me it's helped me relationships with people. It's helped, like people would say to me, do you still have that business? You don't talk about it. I just don't talk about it sometimes in social settings where they're not in the same world as me. But time management, and then also one last thing I'd encourage everyone to do, if I could go back and do it when I was 18, there's one particular book that I would read. I'm a big reader of books. I try and read, if I can, one a week. Not always, but if I can. But one of the best books I've ever read, The Richest Man in Babylon. I don't know if you guys have ever read it. I don't know if you've ever read it. So I wish I read that book when I was 18. That's all. That's what I was. I wish I read that book when I was 16, because it just simplifies how you should live your life, and how you can make money, how you can budget for money, how you can build wealth. And it came to mind when I was listening to you guys talking about building your investment strategy. And I got asked today with somebody else if you could read one book, what would it be? Richest Man in Babylon and Fake by Robert Kiyosaki. Those two books, as an entrepreneur, helped me tenfold. So the Richest Man in Babylon, it's a difficult read because it's kind of written in Old English. It's about Romans, but it takes some time. The audiobook is great. That would be, if someone was asking me, what would you read if you had to read it again? Richest Man in Babylon, great book.
We might even do a SharkPod on that. Sometimes we do a book breakdown now and then. So we might do that and give you a shout out on that one as well. One last question before you go. Would you prefer a t-shirt or a mug?
A mug.
Okay, perfect. We'll get that mug out.
Definitely, yeah. I love mugs. I collect them actually. So yeah, and I just, as I said, I've just got the new branding for Simplí Business Finance gone out this week, and I've just ordered my new merch, as we call it. So I'll send you guys a mug as well. So you guys have it. The best mug I've ever got was a cuddle mug from the FM 104 show. So
we're going to pop that, Gary. We're going to put your logo on the SharkPod mug. That's what we're going to do. We're going to mark that. We do that before.
Yeah, combination.
I like that.
We can do that.
All right.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thanks very much
when we're having your get together, lots of my clients are hospitality business in Dublin. I'll help you guys out. Find a good place where we go and have some fun and talk business as well as socialise. So I'm looking forward to that.
I can't wait for that. So thanks very much for coming on the podcast today. So Simplí Business Finance is the business. If you guys are out there and you're entrepreneurs and you're afraid of finance, give Gary a call and he might be able to help you out. All right. Thanks.